if you really want to look at a diamond in the rough that the Eagles got in this draft, you look no other than Jalyx Hunt. He could be the steal of Howie Roseman's century. Yo, by the way, King Dingbat here. You know, sometimes there's just this sense. There's this sense, this presence, this feeling that you get that you just look at a player and you say, there's something about this guy. There's something about him that I don't know. I think he's going to be a star. He is a true diamond in the rough. I remember having this feeling a few times in my life. One with Brian Dawkins, another time with Eric Allen. You knew from the first snap that there was just something about these guys, that they had it. I'm not saying I'm there yet with Jalyx Hunt, but I am getting very close based upon what we have seen so far. Now, he hasn't put the pads on yet. He hasn't gone out there and played. But when you look at diamonds in the rough, total steals, there is just something about this kid. I am telling you. Now, we're going to get into it in a second. But before we do that, a few things. First off, once again, happy anniversary to my parents today. 50th anniversary to them. Happy anniversary. Like I said, I will get up there as soon as I humanly possibly can get to Vegas. I'm going to go out and see them because that's where they live now, in Vegas. Also, I don't know what it is. But every single time you see the Eagles and you see them being talked about with any possible players or going out and making one more move or doing anything, the Eagles are always linked to a safety. I find this crazy. They're not linked to running backs, which I think they need depth at. They're not linked to wide receivers. They're not linked to any other positions really, except safety. There's a new safety that has been linked with the Eagles. I wanted to kind of share this real quick with you guys. ESPN Plus, I guess, they basically put out one player for every other team to basically snatch it up, and they had the Eagles signing safety Eddie Jackson. Philadelphia Eagles signed safety Eddie Jackson. What the Eagles could use is defensive depth. At safety, for example, Sidney Brown is coming back from an ACL injury suffered late last season, leaving little depth behind C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Reed Blankenship. Jackson, a former star, would help stabilize the unit. He could play strong safety if Gardner-Johnson lines up in the slot, or he might even beat out Blankenship for the free safety position. He was also a guy that played under Fangio, we should say that. So I find it, not so much the players, but I find it interesting that everybody has seemed to really really lock down on that's the position the Eagles are going to look to address. And maybe there's something to it. The fact that they wanted to move Bradbury out there to safety, was that more than just a ploy, as I suspect? I mean, I thought, yeah, that's just a ploy to build up his value, but maybe they are worried about the depth at safety, and I think for good reason, to be honest with you. With Sidney Brown coming back from ACL injury, that injury takes you a full year to get back from, okay? So guys don't come back from the ACL injury and just go ahead and they're great. It always takes a while. This is the big mistake Cowboy fans are making with Diggs, especially Mark Holmes. This is the big mistake they're making. They think they're going to get him coming back and he's going to be ready to go 100%. Nah, he's going to have an off year. He's not going to be at his best. It's going to take him a full year to recover. Same with Sidney Brown. So, yeah, the Eagles could use depth there. And we've now heard Eddie Jackson. We've now heard Justin Simmons. And also Budda Baker is out there. I think there was a mock trade sending Budda Baker to the Lions. And they were supposed to give up the Lions were going to give up a second round pick for Budda Baker. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't give that much. He is 28 years old, but I wouldn't pay that much. If the Eagles are truly looking at going out and adding a safety, which it may totally be true, if you're going to do it at this point, in my opinion, then go out there, and Quandre Diggs is another guy that's been linked. But if you're going to go out and do it, go get Justin Simmons. Forget all the other crap and go get Simmons. You want to put Simmons with C.J. Gardner-Johnson, That's a hell of a duo, okay? I have no issue with that whatsoever. But Simmons ain't going to sign until, like, in camp, during camp, or really close to it. But if you're going to do it and you're the Eagles, go out and get Justin Simmons. Now, I don't mind Eddie Jackson as a person to come in, be part of the depth. I don't think he beats out Reed Blankenship, though. Justin Simmons, you have to start. So, I just find it interesting that the Eagles are always linked to the safety position. It seems like there's no other position the Eagles are interested in getting, according to sources and to people out there. So, just something to keep your eye on. Like I said, if I'm going to go out and get somebody, it's going to be Justin Simmons. But I got to tell you, my first choice isn't even to get Justin Simmons. My first choice is to put Cooper DeJean at safety and let him play. Just put him out there and let him play with C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Reed Blankenship and just go that way. That's what I would do. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe these people are right and the Eagles are going to go out and sign safety. But if they do, I hope it's Justin Simmons. I'm just saying. Safety, it's a position for whatever reason everybody thinks we're going to add depth there, and I'm not saying we don't need it, because we do. But if I had to say what position do I really think the Eagles might have to go invest resources out of, it could be the edge rusher position, because we just don't know enough about Huff yet and Nolan Smith in his second year. Now listen, let's say best case scenario, you go out there, Nolan Smith is a beast, getting you 12 sacks. Bryce Huff goes out there, gets you 10 sacks. You're good, we're good. I mean, if these guys pan out, I don't think people understand this. If these guys pan out, if you could get out of Nolan Smith, out of Huff, and we'll say Hunt, if you could get 2 out of those 3 guys to be players, this defensive line is going to be very, very, very scary. Okay, it is. So Nolan Smith, Huff, they have a lot of potential, a lot of upside, but we just don't know enough yet, And this really is interesting because I think the fact that you need depth at the edge rusher position, it really opens the door to Jalyx Hunt. Now, Jalyx Hunt, to me, I don't know. There's just something about this kid. When you hear him talk, when he starts to speak, there's just this feeling I get. And I know it's crazy, and I can't quantify it. I can't put anything substantial on it. But I'm just telling you, there's, from a gut standpoint, from a feeling standpoint, there's something about this kid. And I've had this feeling a few times. Now, albeit, I did feel this way about Dawkins. I did feel this way about Eric Allen. I'll never forget Eric Allen's first preseason game. First game I ever saw him. I remember saying, that guy's a star. You knew it. This kid hasn't played a game yet, so we'll wait. But as of right now, there is just something about this kid that I like a lot. Something about him. He's just got the it factor. I don't know what else to say, but he does. And then when you start to read about him and learn about him, he has got all the talent in the world, and you can see why the Eagles liked him. So one of the interesting things we found out about Jalyx Hunt as he was drafted by the Eagles, and probably one of the main reasons why Vic Fangio liked this kid so much, is the kid's ability to play back in coverage. He used to be a safety. He was a safety, and we know Vic Fangio loves his outside linebackers to be able to drop into coverage. So converting from a safety to an outside linebacker, an edge rusher, he is going to have that skill of knowing how to cover. And that's probably one of the reasons why Vic Fangio liked him. But, overall, this kid has a ton of talent. Ed Kratz just did an article on Jalyx Hunt. He was talking about being a third-round pick and how there's opportunity for this kid to play. And in his article, he said this about him. He said, in 2 years at Houston Christian, after moving from safety to edge outside linebacker, when he hit the growth spurt, which I guess he hit a growth spurt, he made 133 tackles, 20.5 for loss, 13.5 sacks, 1 interceptions, 5 pass breakups, 5 forced fumbles, and 3 fumble recoveries. The kind of versatility is what defensive coordinator Vic Fangio loves, a player who can drop into coverage, as we said, and rush the passer. So he fits. He fits Vic Fangio perfect. And when you listen to what he did in 2 years as an edge rusher, just converting, you can tell this kid has all the talent in the world. He could be a giant volcano ready to explode. Pause. No diddy. All right? And listen, the Eagles, for the most part, mixed reviews. It depends on how you see it, but a lot of people think the Eagles have done an okay job with their third-round picks in recent history. The Eagles, though, have done well in the third round, bringing in safety Sidney Brown, offensive lineman Tyler Steen last year, defensive tackle Milton Williams, who we're going to have to talk about him in a whole separate video. In 2021, the jury is out on Nakobe Dean, and then going back even further, is a round that delivered Rasul Douglas, third round, Isaac Seumalo, and Jordan Hicks. And because mistakes are always remembered in the first 3 rounds, who could forget Josh Huff back in 2014? Now he's going way back. Davion Taylor was a third-round pick also. He didn't do all that great. But, I mean, the Eagles with a third-round pick, it looks like they've been up and down. And the thing with this kid, though, that I like is that he's got all the talent in the world. And listen, he might not be a kid that gets on the field that much. We just don't know, because it's going to depend on the guys in front of him. You got guys like Nolan Smith out there. You've got, Bryce Huff out there. Those guys are going to be a big part of it, of how much time he gets. Julian Aguara, remember him from the Lions. He's another guy that the Eagles brought in this offseason. Then you have Patrick Johnson. Of course, at defensive end you have Josh Sweat. So there are some players that he's, going to hopefully play in that rotation. But I really look at it like Nolan Smith, Huff, and then you're going to have Hunt rotate in. But he has an opportunity to get on the field this year because of the depth there. And that's what's going to be interesting with the Eagles. They don't need to run out there and rush to go get themselves an edge rusher. Now, I think they might have to at some point for depth purposes, but they don't have to do it right away, because I think they got enough young guys that they kind of got to get on the field, kind of got to see what they have. But let's say things don't go well. We talked about what if, 2 out of 3 guys really work out. Well, what if they don't work out? Well, one of the things you might want to do, we've talked about, is, maybe go get Matt Judon and try to trade for him. I know that there was some talk about, potential mock trade for him going to the Atlanta Falcons. I think it was for like a 3rd-round pick. I would do that if I was the Eagles, if they needed to around the trade deadline. But early on, going into preseason, going into training camp, they don't need to do anything but let these young guys play. And Jalyx Hunt, when you look at him and you look at the upside, he could be the steal of this draft. He could. And not only that, he could actually make an impact this year, depending upon how it goes early. I think you're going to see Huff, Nolan Smith, and then this kid's going to be right behind him. And it would not surprise me that by the end of the year, if this kid is really making a big impact for the Eagles. Just my thoughts. Let me know what you think about the Jalyx Hunt pick. Let me know what you guys think about the position in general. Do we need to add a veteran? Do you think we go in with these young guys? And do you think Hunt is going to be able to make an impact in year 1? With that said, take care. Talk to you later. Of course, don't be a dingbat. Remember, it's how we vision, baby. We're all just living in it. Dallas still stinks. Did you guys see Hassan Reddick walking around Japan? Oh my gosh. I don't know what to think. Like, if he was still on the Eagles, there's a part of me that thinks he never would have missed OTAs. He never would be doing this. But as soon as the Eagles traded him to another team, there was no loyalty or desire to work something out with that team. Just get what he wants, because he didn't play for that team. He hasn't ever played for that team. So it is kind of crazy. I would be so frustrated right now if he was still in the Eagles walking around Japan with a samurai sword. Absolutely insane. Denzel Washington out.
Hi, Michael Anthony, Fitness here, MAF.